Good morning and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jalen Singh Rana, and in today's video, I'll be explaining you how to make a feedback application using Recoil library in the React app. So as you can see that we have been tasked with the creation of a user feedback application using the React and Recoil. The application should allow to users to input a username and their number of pending assignments, and based on this input, provide the personalized feedback. So as you can see that this is the basic task that we have to do. The note we have been given is that utilize recoil for state management. Okay. Maintain a recoil atom to store user data, including the username and number of pending assignments. Implement a recoil selector that generates the feedback based on user input. Provide different feedback messages depending on the number of pending assignments. No input, fill the detail to get back, and zero if you are brilliant. Come if it is there, if there is no input, then fill the details to get back to get feedback. And if the input is zero, the feedback should be you are brilliant. If input is one, the feedback should be come on, you can do it. If the input is 2, it means 2 assignment remaining, then the output should be need improvement. If the input is 3, need revision. And if the input is 4, then the feedback should be no internship. And if the input is 5, the answer should be you have failed. So this is my code that I've used. So let me first show you how I am using my recoil atom to store the data. Now, what is recoil? Let me explain what is recoil. So recoil is used for the state management, and it makes use of small data units known as atoms. These are the smallest units that we can use to store and get data from. It also has another folder. It has two folders. One is atoms and second is selector. The atom is the atoms folder holds the multiple atoms, and the structure folder selector folder. It does is that when we retrieve data from the atom, then it does some computation on that data and then return us that atom data after the computation is being done on it. So selector is just a file that holds the code for the computation over the data of the atom. So as you can see that I first created a feedback store.jsx as an atom. This is my atom. The first step to use the recoil library is to first we should go to our terminal, and we should be at the directory of this as same directory as a React project. And then what we need to do there is that we need to write a command which is npm I recoil, which would install our recoil library. After that, we need to wrap our app.js component inside our index.js, and we need to wrap our app.js component inside recoil root. And to use recoil root, we first need to import recoil root from recoil library. After that, what we are going to do is that we created the atom. Our atom over here is that feedback store.jsx. So as you can see that to make a file atom, make the whatever variable inside it an atom which stores our data. We need to first import the atom function from our recoil library. After that, I declared a variable, and this variable will hold all of our data. And we initialize it using the function atom that we just imported, and it has two key value pairs that we can hold inside of it. One is key, which lets the recoil or the React know which atom is it, so it should be unique. Now comes the second, which is default. So this is where the our main data can be stored. So the default keyword would remain the same, but the data that we can store inside of it is very flexible. So it means that we can either hold a singular data or a constant data or a linear data, a array data or a object data. So as you can see that in this, I first gave my key the unique value or unique key, which is feedback. Let me just reduce one name, which is feedback. Uh, I used a feedback over here just because it matches the name of my file, and it I know it would be the unique only. Now in my default, as you can see that I defined an object which and my object holds two key value pairs. One is name and one is remaining. So name is the user's name. So here the user's name would be stored, and the remaining is the key which would hold the number of pending assignments number of pending assignments. So after that, I exported my variable. As you can see that export default feedback store. After that, I also created a selector. Now, how much computation would be done is that first to make a selector, I need to import my selector from my recoil library. After that, I need to import my atom on which I would be doing my computation over on this file on this in this selector file. So as we know that I'll be doing my computation over the atom feedback store. So I imported it inside my this selector, which is give feedback. So as we know that we were given the set of feedback that we need to imply, which were these one. So as you can see that I first created a array of feedbacks. So the index of each feedback represents the number of pending assignments. So as you know that if there were zero assignment left, so in this array, my zero assignment zero at the zero index, it is the it holds the corresponding feedback that was mentioned in my question, which is that if zero assignment is left, then the feedback should be UR builded. So at the zero index, I stored my UR builded feedback. And if the assignment left number of assignments left was five or greater than five, then I stored my you have failed feedback at the last of my array, which is on my five index. So we can count this. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And similarly, as you can compare it, my each and every feedback inside this array is at their corresponding index, and index also represents the number of assignments pending the user has pending. So that's how I created my array. Now the main computation part comes over here. So first I created my variable give feedback and made it a selector. So it would do all my computation from on the data that I took from the atom. So as you can see that first I need to use the selector function to make it a selector. After that, the concept is similar over here. The key concept is similar as to Atom, which lets the state management of the recoil or the React know that which selector is working, or if we want to specify some specific selector. After that comes the main key value pair, or you can say the function, which is get. So this get function takes the value that is coming from my atom. So this is the variable that will be holding this arrow function. As we know that if we are using this selector over my feedback, so what happens is that the feedback has its own object, and we are restructuring it to make use of a get function that my feedback store atom already has inside of it. So I am simply using this get function to get my values, all my values that is stored inside my default, that is stored with my default key inside my feedback store. As you can see that, so this is my data that is alongside with my default key. So this get function, after that inside my parameter, it would be taking this get function as the input from my atom function, which is a feedback store. So after that, inside my arrow function, as you can see that I created a variable val, which would make use of this get function, and it would get my data that I have stored inside my that I have stored as the value of my default key inside my atom. So as you can see that get then my atom name, which is feedback store. So now val currently holds, after the execution of that line, my val currently holds this object over here. So after that, I'm doing what now I forgot to mention, but the processing is over here. So whatever input my user give me on my pending assignment, so I am computing that which feedback to give it. So as you can see that now val currently holds my object. So I need to make use of the remaining key value pair because that holds my number of pending assignments. So that's why, as you can see that after that I returned which is feed. Now which is feed and bracket inside my bracket it is val dot remaining val dot remaining inside my inside the square braces. So what I am returning, I am returning the element from my feed array, as you can see that this array, and it would be returning the value that that is on what index, that is on val dot remaining index. So as I told you, val is currently holding my object that I created as the value for my default key inside my atom, which was feedback store. So if I use a val dot remaining, so it would give me the number of pending assignments. And I told you that my index over here, I have stored my feedbacks in feed array in such a manner that the number of pending assignments and the index of their corresponding feedback is same. So that's how it would be returning this computated value. So that's how I'm using my selector. And after that, I simply exported this selector. Now coming to the main form of this whole project, not a form, I used Material UI to make my input boxes and generate a button, generate feedback button. So as you can see that these are the multiple inputs. So this is the input for my button, and this is the import for my box and text field. So I'm using my material UI over here, material UI library over here. Now, as you can see that, let me just show you what elements are there inside my whole website. So this is my whole form. As you can see that currently the values are empty over here in both of them. So yeah, I forgot to mention that this both of these text field and this button is I got this from my material UI, or you can say that MUI. So as you can see that currently my both your name and number of pending assignment is 0. So that's why it is showing please enter your name, and please feedback is showing no feedback yet. Please fill all the details. So that is my default value because it currently doesn't hold any value. So that check marks my provide a different feedback, not this one. Which one was it? Yes, no input is shows that fill the details to get feedback. So this check marks my task. So after that, as you can see that these were the elements. So these are the two headings that I am using as my display, and inside my box component, or you can say the wrapper component. I am storing my two text field. These are the two text field and my button. So how am I computing, or how am I showing all these details? So first I created my data. First I used my recoil library to get the atom data in this file. So how am I getting this? I'm making use of this function, which is use recoil state, and it would first to make use of I'm using two functions of the recoil, which is for use recoil state and use recoil value. Now we use recoil state to retrieve the data from an atom, and we use the use recoil value to retrieve the computed data from the selector. So that is the difference between both of them. So as we can see that this is a same format like use state. So first we use the array which holds my data and set data. The when we take data from my recoil or from the atom, these two variable works with the data would store our value from the atom, but these two variables set data and data would works exactly same as our use state. So which means that this variable would be used to store and access the atoms data, and this set data would be used for two things. First, to update the atoms value, and second, to re-render or repaint my whole component. Now similarly I used a use state to get to make a set to make a show and set show variables. Sorry, this set show is our setter function over here. This use state I'm using to show my data, as the name suggests. So after that, I used a variable which would hold my computed data from my selector. So as you can see that use recoil value, and then I gave the name of my selector from where it would be taking the value. So if the value of the remaining is 2 over here, then it would go to this whole computation inside my selector, which is give feedback, and it would then return like if my feedback store was currently holding the remaining keys value as 2. So what would happen is that it would go to inside this selector, and then what would happen, my selector would access my whole object, and then after that it would return my element at val.remaining. So currently val.remaining is 2, so this whole val.remaining would give the value as 2. So so the element inside my feedback at index 2 would be returned. So it would be returned and it would get stored in my remaining feedback. And after that, I am storing my remaining feedback in my show use state, and my show use state is a object in itself. So that's how I'm showing, storing and temporarily storing and showing my data. Now comes the handle input. So as you can see that in both my text field, I used on change event listener, which would trigger my handle input. So as you can see that I used set show to sorry, this is not the one. Yes. So as you can see that I stored each and every value that my user is inputting. So if the text field ID is name, then what would happen is that my set data function would update the current objects, sorry, current data you atoms object name key only. So as you can see that if my e.target.id is equal to name, so it would only first restructure the current object that my atom is holding. And object am I talking about? I'm not talking about the object which holds my key and default. I am talking about the object that my default key is holding inside my atom, because we can only make changes in that, and we cannot make changes in my parent object which holds my key and default keys. So it would first restructure the object that is held by my default inside my atom, held by my default key inside my atom. So it would destructure it, and after that, it would update the name to whatever the user is inputting. So of course, I used my object E over here to target the value attribute, and it would get my whatever the input the user is making, or whatever the changes my text field is listening to, or getting triggered by, would be stored inside my X variable, and after that I'm simply storing it. Now if the ID is not named, then it only means that my password, or sorry, my remaining assignment field is being filled. So that's why I used else command over here, because there are only two fields, so it is either that or that. That's why I use my else over here. So similarly, there is a bit of logic in this. So what I did is first, again, I destructured my object that is held by my default key inside my atom feedback store. And after that, I updated its remaining key value. So how am I updating it? So first it would check if 5 is greater than, if my x is greater than 5, because we know that the computation in my selector is done over my remaining key only. Sorry, over my value of the remaining key. And as we know that the feed array that I created inside my selector only has the maximum index of 5. So if my maximum index exceeds 5, then it would give me an error. So to just to stop the overflow, or stop this error from out of bound error from coming, I would set an upper limit. So what would happen is that first it would check if my x is greater than 5. If my x is greater than 5, then my remaining key would always hold 5, maximum value 5. Because let's say if there was a 10 over here, and of course it is greater than 5, then because of the ternary operator, my condition is satisfied. So my first case would be returned, which is 5. So my remaining value would not store 10. at that instance, it would only store 5. And if it is not my if it is not uh, greater than 5, then there is another ternary check which checks if my x is equal to empty string. Now, if it is empty string, it means that there is currently no input in it. So what would happen? It would simply show the feedback like no feedback yet. Please fill the all the details, because that's how I am again doing the task of providing this feedback when there is no input in my pending assignment. So if it is an empty string, then it would my remaining would store an empty string. If it is not, then finally it would store whatever my x is, and we know that x would only be in between 0 to 5, and including 0 and 5 both. So that's how my input is being stored. Now, when my user clicks on my get feedback button, then this event listener inside my button would get triggered, which is on click, and it would start this handle output function. Now, coming inside my handle output, as you can see that my as we have observed, or as I have told you, that my data is atom is now currently holding my all the inputs. So after that, I need to show those inputs. Now, how am I showing the those input is by uh, with the help of these h1 two h1 tags, as you can see that. So and this show use state that I have told you about. So in my HTML section or XML section, you can see markup section. You can say that see that I'm also again doing my no input edge case handling. So as you can see that if show dot name is equal to an empty string, it means that there is no input over there. Then it would return this value, which is please enter a name. If it is not an empty string, then it would return hi plus show dot name, then exclamatory mark. So it would be like if I enter my name, which is Arihant, so it would be like hi Arihant exclamatory mark. Now yes. Now, coming to the second H1 tag, this gives my actual feedback based on the numbers of pending assignment left or pending assignment. As you can see that what I am doing over here is that first it would print no matter what, it would print this feedback, then colon. After that, I'm checking if my this show remaining is empty or not. If it is empty, so then it would show me no feedback yet. Please fill all the details. And if it is not, then it would give me the feedback that I am getting from my selector. Now coming to the handle output function, as you can see that first I would check if the data dot name dot length is greater is not equal to 0. It means that if it doesn't any hold any value, then it should not get updated. My show setter function should not run, because it would just show the empty data, and sorry, it would make the processing much faster, because then it would not initiate my whole set show setter function, and then it would not repaint my whole UI, or you can say the whole web page. So after that, I also made sure that the data, whatever data is currently holding, should be different from my show name. So it ensures that it again ensures that if, for example, I previously entered my name as Aryan, and then I got my feedback according to the corresponding assignment, and then again, what I am doing is that I am simply changing the number of pending assignment remaining to some different number, and I am keeping the name that I have written as Aryan the same and not changing it anyway. So what would happen if I do not write this condition as well is that then it would again trigger this setter function, and it would repaint my whole process, and because it is a small scale project, it won't hinder it that much. But when it comes to the large scale project, and it would hinder it. So just for the best use case or best practice, I am making sure that is no extra re-rendering or repainting of my whole component when it is not needed. So these two conditions are just ensuring that. And if both the conditions are true, then what would happen? My setter show function would get initiated, and it would initiate this arrow function, which takes my previous object that is currently held by my show, and it first destructure it, and it is similar to the update command inside that I did in my handle input. So if I destructure it, then it would update the name key with the new value, which is held by my data.name. Now, as I told you, data is a atom that I am accessing with the help of use recall state. And what atom I am using? I am using the feedback backstore atom. Now coming to the second if condition for my feedback that is given in correspondence to number of assignment that are remaining. So as you can see that I did again I did the same condition checking that if there is no input, then the setter function should not initiate. If my data dot remaining has some data dot remaining is undefined, then again it should not compute or it should not call the setter function. So it would save my reprinting of my component. So if both of my conditions are true, then this setter function would start working. And as you can see that it is again updating my object. Now the difference over here is that in the previous one I was updating it with the help of my atom, but over here, you can see that I am updating with the whatever my selector is giving. Now, as we know that my selector would always give me the feedback in correspondence to number of pending assignments remaining. So that's how my code is working. Now, let me demonstrate you its practical. So as you can see that, let me show you, that my name is Arihant, Arihant, and the number of assignments, let's say I have zero. Well, it would be zero after I have submitted this one. As you can see that, just a second, there might be an error. Okay, so there wasn't any error with my code. Actually, what happened is that I was testing something previously, so it wasn't my page wasn't refreshed. So after a quick refresh, as you can see that there is no changes in my code at all. So yeah, I was showing you the practical demo. So let's say my name is Aryan, and I have zero assignment remaining. So as you can see that, hi Aryan, your feedback is you are brilliant, which is in accordance to my as you can see that which is in accordance to my you're brilliant uh, feedback. Now, let's say I have five assignment remaining, which is the last feedback. So you have failed, which is yes, exactly that. And if I have two assignments remaining, then my output should be need improvement. So yes, need improvement. It is also working. Now, the four should be no internship. Now my four should be, and let's say change my name to let's say Ram. Okay. So as you can see, the hi Ram, no internship and no internship. Now let's say I have more than five assignments that are remaining. So let's say 10. Okay. So yes, that was our by default upper limit. So as we know that 10 is greater than 5, so it would trigger this command and it would return 5 as my remaining keys value. So that's why I'm getting my last feedback, which was you have failed. And that's how all of it is working. So that's how my code is working. And as you can see that we have achieved all our objectives that were mentioned over there. Well, that's all, and thank you for watching. Yeah, you can also find the GitHub repository for this project inside the YouTube's description. Well, that's all, and thank you.